What if our newest cosmic visitor isn't what it seems? What if, right now, something is passing through our solar system? Something that defies the comfortable explanations we've built around natural phenomena and random chance. Tonight, we're going to explore a possibility that exists in that fascinating space between established science and unsettling speculation. A possibility that might keep you awake with wonder, or gently guide you into dreams filled with distant stars and watching eyes. This is Sleepy Science Drift, where we transform the universe's deepest mysteries into peaceful bedtime explorations. I'm your guide through the cosmic unknown, and tonight we're following the path of an object that has captured the attention of astronomers worldwide, an object that moves through space with a precision that seems almost deliberate. Before we begin our journey into the darkness between stars, if these gentle wanderings through scientific mystery bring you comfort or spark your curiosity, I'd be grateful if you'd consider sharing a like and perhaps subscribing to join our community of curious dreamers. And please, do tell me in the comments where in this beautiful world you're listening tonight, what time it is there as you settle into rest, and if you feel moved to share the strangest dream you've ever experienced. I treasure every comment and do my best to reply to each one, building this quiet community of wonder seekers, one peaceful night at a time. Now, let me tell you about something extraordinary that arrived in our cosmic neighborhood. On July 1st, 2025, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, known simply as ATLAS, detected an object moving through the darkness of space. But this wasn't just another chunk of ancient rock tumbling through the void. No, this object was moving in a way that immediately caught the attention of researchers across the globe, moving too fast, at too strange an angle, to have originated anywhere near our Sun. They designated it 3I/Atlas. That I stands for interstellar. Think about that word for a moment as you settle deeper into comfort. Interstellar, from between the stars, from somewhere else entirely. We live in a solar system where everything, from the smallest pebble to the gas giants, was born approximately 4.5 billion years ago from the same cosmic nursery, the same swirling cloud of dust and gas that collapsed to form our Sun. Everything here follows predictable paths, dancing to the gravitational choreography set in motion at the dawn of our little corner of the universe. But 3I Atlas didn't join this ancient dance. It arrived from outside, carrying with it the chemical signatures and physical characteristics of a completely different stellar neighborhood, a place we've never visited, a place we can only imagine. Only 3 times in recorded history have we confirmed visitors from interstellar space passing through our solar system. The first, Oumuamua, appeared in 2017 like a messenger that arrived too quickly for us to properly greet it, too quickly for us to fully understand what it was. It departed before we could train our best instruments upon it, leaving behind only questions and blurry images. The second visitor, Borisov, came in 2019 and behaved more like what we expected, a comet complete with a tail of gas and dust, following the rules we'd written in our textbooks. But now we have 3I Atlas, and this visitor is presenting us with something different, something that doesn't quite fit the comfortable categories we've created, something that whispers of possibilities we're only beginning to consider in the quiet hours before sleep. Picture this object as it hurtles through our cosmic neighborhood at approximately 61 kilometers per second. Not 61 kilometers per hour, the speed of a car on a highway. Not 61 meters per second, the speed of a falling object. 61 kilometers every single second. That's extraordinarily fast, even by the standards of interstellar space, even by the standards of objects that have been accelerated by the gravity of distant stars. To give you some perspective as you drift towards sleep, our fastest spacecraft, the Parker Solar Probe, reaches speeds of about 200 kilometers per second at its closest approach to the Sun. But that's after using the Sun's own gravity as a cosmic slingshot, after carefully planned orbital mechanics designed over years of calculation. 3i Atlas arrived at our doorstep, already moving at nearly one-third that velocity. It was already moving at these tremendous speeds when it entered the outer reaches of our solar system, suggesting it was accelerated to these velocities by forces we can only imagine, by events that occurred in places we've never seen, perhaps by intentions we don't yet understand. The trajectory of this object is what has captured attention in ways that pure velocity cannot. It's what makes some researchers pause, what makes them look at their calculations again and again, checking their mathematics, questioning their assumptions. According to recent analysis, published in peer-reviewed astronomical papers, 3i Atlas follows a path that brings it remarkably close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. Not just vaguely near these planets, but close enough for detailed observation. Close enough for what astronomers call optimal flyby geometry. The probability of such a trajectory occurring by random chance, by pure cosmic accident, has been calculated at approximately 0.005%. Let that number settle in your mind as you settle into rest. 0.005%. In the language of statistics, this is what researchers call statistically significant, a term that carries weight in scientific circles. It means the likelihood of this happening by accident is so vanishingly small that we are obligated by the scientific method itself to consider other explanations. Imagine, if you will, throwing a dart at a map of the solar system from a distance of several light years away. Imagine that dart traveling through the vast emptiness of interstellar space for thousands of years, somehow following a path that just happens to provide close flyby opportunities with multiple planets. The chances would be infinitesimal. Yet that is essentially what 3i/Atlas appears to have done. It arrived from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, that beautiful pattern of stars we imagine as an archer, and it will depart toward the boundary between Gemini and Orion, but not before conducting what could be described, without too much imagination, as a grand tour of the inner solar system. The timing adds another layer to this mystery, another detail that makes the comfortable explanations feel less comfortable in the darkness before sleep. 3i Atlas will reach its closest point to the Sun, what astronomers call perihelion, on October 29, 2025. During this approach, the object will be positioned directly between Earth and the Sun from our perspective, rendering it invisible to our telescopes for several critical weeks. Think about that. Just when it's closest, just when our instruments should be gathering the most detailed data, the Sun itself blocks our view. This solar eclipse effect creates an ideal window, a perfect blind spot, for conducting observations of our planet without being detected by Earth-based instruments. An optimal window for watching without being watched. Some might call this coincidence. The universe is full of coincidences after all, but coincidences that align this perfectly, this conveniently, begin to strain the bounds of probability. They begin to whisper other possibilities into the quiet spaces of scientific discourse. Consider something else. something that adds a historical dimension to this cosmic mystery. The travel time for 3I/Atlas to reach us from the outer edges of our solar system is estimated at approximately 8,000 years. 8,000 years ago, human civilization was undergoing profound transformations. We were just beginning to leave lasting marks upon our world. We were developing metallurgy, learning to shape metal into tools and weapons. We were inventing writing systems, creating permanent records of our thoughts and observations. We were establishing the first organized agricultural systems, transforming from nomadic hunters to settled communities. 8,000 years ago, humans were just beginning to create the kinds of signals that might be detectable from space, the kinds of changes to our planet's surface and atmosphere that might indicate the presence of an emerging technological civilization. Fire on a massive scale. Organized agriculture, changing the composition of atmospheric gases. The first permanent structures large enough to cast shadows visible from orbit. Is the timing coincidence? Perhaps. Perhaps it's simply the way our pattern-seeking minds work, finding connections where none exist. Or perhaps something noticed those first signals 8,000 years ago and dispatched an observer. Something that has been traveling through the darkness ever since, crossing the vast distances between stars, to arrive precisely now, when our civilization has developed to a point where we can detect its presence, but not yet intercept its journey. The physical characteristics of 3I Atlas add additional whispers to this mystery, additional details that don't quite align with what we expect from natural comets. Most comets, as they approach the Sun, display obvious signs of sublimation. The ice within them, ice that has remained frozen since the formation of planetary systems billions of years ago, begins to heat up, begins to turn directly from solid to gas without passing through liquid form. This creates the characteristic tail, the streaming cloud of gas and dust that makes comets so beautiful in our night sky. But 3I Atlas has been remarkably subtle in its outgassing. The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most sophisticated eye upon the cosmos, has detected a coma, a thin atmosphere of gas surrounding the object, composed primarily of carbon dioxide. But the spectroscopic analysis, the careful examination of which wavelengths of light are absorbed and emitted, revealed something unexpected. There are none of the typical organic compounds we expect from a pristine comet nucleus, none of the chemical signatures that should be present if this were simply ancient ice sublimating in the warmth of our sun. Instead, the object appears to be releasing gas in controlled quantities, almost as if it's managing its thermal properties, as if the outgassing serves some purpose beyond the natural response to solar heating, almost as if something is regulating the release, maintaining optimal temperature, adjusting its trajectory through the most subtle of methods. The shape and structure of 3I Atlas remain largely mysterious, hidden by distance and its relatively small size. But early observations suggest something significant. This visitor is larger than the previous interstellar objects we've detected. Estimates place its diameter at several kilometers, making it massive enough, substantial enough, to carry considerable mass. Massive enough, if we allow ourselves to consider the possibility, to carry substantial instrumentation, complex systems, perhaps even purposes we haven't yet imagined. The object also appears to have a non-spherical shape. Now, this could indicate natural fragmentation, the kind of irregular geometry we see in asteroids that have been battered by countless collisions over billions of years. Or it could indicate something else: deliberate engineering, functional design, shape chosen for purpose rather than shaped by random collision? We simply don't know yet. The distance is too great, the object too small, the data too limited for certainty. But uncertainty creates space for possibility, and in that space, questions grow. What truly sets this visitor apart from the countless asteroids and comets we've tracked over centuries of observation is its behavior as it navigates our solar system. Most celestial objects follow perfectly predictable paths, trajectories determined entirely by gravitational forces, by the mathematical ballet of mass and motion that Newton described and Einstein refined. We can predict their positions years, even centuries in advance with remarkable accuracy, because they follow the rules, because they obey the mathematics of orbital mechanics without deviation. But 3i Atlas has exhibited subtle course corrections, tiny adjustments to its trajectory that suggest non-gravitational acceleration. These adjustments are small, almost imperceptible, but they're there in the data, resistant to explanation by gravitational forces alone. They could be explained by outgassing from its surface, by the rocket-like effect of gas escaping from sun-heated ice. This is a known phenomenon, well documented in cometary science. But they could also indicate something else. Active guidance systems, small thrusters making minute corrections, a predetermined flight path being maintained with precision, an intelligence ensuring that flyby distances are optimal, that observation windows are maximized, that the mission, if it is a mission, proceeds according to plan. The retrograde nature of its orbit adds yet another fascinating detail to this cosmic puzzle. 3i Atlas is moving opposite to the direction of planetary motion, opposite to the ancient spin imparted to our solar system at its formation. This retrograde approach provides several characteristics that would be valuable, even essential, for any reconnaissance mission. Though of course we must remember that natural objects can also have retrograde orbits, that this alone proves nothing. But consider the advantages. First, the high relative velocity makes interception by human spacecraft virtually impossible with current technology. Our most capable rockets can achieve velocities of perhaps 20 kilometers per second, far short of what would be needed to rendezvous with an object moving at nearly 100 kilometers per second relative to Earth. Any attempt to study the object up close would require years of advanced planning and the deployment of our most sophisticated space vehicles, none of which are currently positioned for such a mission. By the time we could reach it, it would be long gone, departed back into the darkness between stars. Second, the retrograde trajectory allows viewing each planet from different angles than would be possible with an orbit moving in the same direction as the planets. This provides comprehensive observation opportunities, multiple perspectives, the chance to see each world from all sides, to understand its characteristics more completely. Atmospheric composition, visible in the way sunlight filters through air, surface features revealed by different lighting angles, the electromagnetic signatures of technological civilizations, if they exist, detected from multiple positions. Third, and perhaps most intriguing, the timing of closest approach to each planet appears optimized for observation. The object will pass within 18 million kilometers of Mars in early October, approximately 167 million kilometers from Earth in December, and will conduct a close flyby of Jupiter at 53 million kilometers in March 2026. Each of these encounters occurs at times when the target planet is favorably positioned, when observation conditions are optimal, when the geometry of sun, observer, and target aligns in ways that maximize information gathering. Coincidence? Perhaps. The universe is vast, and unlikely events occur constantly somewhere in that vastness. But unlikely events that align this perfectly, this consistently, begin to form patterns. And patterns, even in the random noise of cosmic events, can suggest meaning, can suggest purpose, can suggest that someone, something, is watching. As you settle deeper into rest tonight, as your breathing slows and your thoughts begin to drift, consider what it might mean if 3i/Atlas is indeed more than a random chunk of ancient rock. Consider what it might mean if we are being observed, if our small blue world has attracted the attention of intelligences that crossed the vast darkness between stars specifically to see us, to study us, to assess us. Are we alone in this assessment, or are there others? How many worlds might this visitor have passed in its long journey? How many other civilizations might be receiving similar attention, might be having their own astronomers track their own mysterious visitors, might be lying awake at night, wondering if they're truly alone in the cosmos? The gentle mathematics of probability suggest we cannot be the only ones. The universe is too vast, too old, too filled with stars and planets for Earth to be unique. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, other minds must exist. Other consciousnesses must have emerged from the blind workings of evolution and physics, and if they exist, if they achieved technology sufficient for interstellar observation, then why wouldn't they look? Why wouldn't they watch? Why wouldn't they want to know who else shares this magnificent, terrifying, beautiful universe? I-Atlas continues its journey through our cosmic neighborhood, carrying with it whatever secrets it may hold, whether those secrets are simply the chemical composition of distant stellar nurseries or something far more profound. We watch it with our telescopes, we track it with our calculations, we wonder about it in the quiet hours before sleep. And perhaps, just perhaps, something watches back, gathering data, forming assessments, making decisions about futures we cannot yet imagine. Sleep well tonight, knowing that above you, beyond our atmosphere, beyond the comfortable blanket of air that shields us from the cosmic radiation and the cold of space, mysteries move through the darkness. Some of those mysteries may be nothing more than ancient ice and rock, but some, just some, might be something more. As we drift deeper into this cosmic mystery, we must confront a question that has haunted humanity since we first looked up at the stars and wondered if something looked back. If 3i/Atlas is indeed an observer, a reconnaissance probe sent by an intelligence beyond our world, then we must ask ourselves the most unsettling question of all. What are they looking for? And more importantly, what will they do with what they find? There exists a solution to one of science's most profound puzzles that offers an answer, though not a comforting one. The puzzle is simple in its formulation, but staggering in its implications. Given the vast number of stars in our galaxy, many billions of them, and given that many of these stars have planetary systems, and given the billions of years that have passed since these systems formed, where is everybody? Why, in all our searching, in all our listening, in all our observations of the cosmos, have we encountered no clear evidence of other intelligent civilizations? The physicist Enrico Fermi posed this question, and it has echoed through the decades since, demanding answers that our comfortable assumptions cannot provide. One possible answer has emerged from the intersection of game theory, evolutionary biology, and the cold mathematics of survival. It suggests that the universe may be filled with intelligent species, but they dare not reveal themselves. They dare not make noise in the darkness. Imagine, if you will, a vast forest at night. In this forest, every civilization is a hunter, moving silently through the trees, careful not to make sound, careful not to light fires, careful not to do anything that might attract the attention of other hunters. Because in this dark forest, the first rule of survival is simple and absolute. Stay hidden, stay silent, because the alternative is extinction. The logic behind this hypothesis is coldly rational, emerging not from paranoia, but from the mathematical structures that govern competition between entities with incomplete information about each other's intentions. Any civilization capable of interstellar travel would possess technology so advanced, so far beyond what we can currently imagine, that it could easily destroy younger civilizations that might, someday, centuries or millennia in the future, pose a threat to their security or compete for their resources. Given the impossibility of truly understanding the intentions of an intelligence that evolved under completely different conditions, on different worlds, with different evolutionary pressures shaping their psychology and their values, the safest strategy, the strategy that game theory suggests will dominate, is to eliminate potential competitors before they become dangerous. This creates what mathematicians call a Nash equilibrium, a stable state where no player can improve their position by changing strategy. Even benevolent civilizations, even those who would prefer peaceful coexistence, are forced to act aggressively, because they cannot afford to assume that other civilizations share their peaceful intentions. The first civilization to reveal itself becomes vulnerable to attack from any other civilization that detects that revelation. So all civilizations remain hidden, watching from the darkness, striking only when they discover others who have made the fatal mistake of announcing their presence to the cosmos. If 3I Atlas represents a reconnaissance probe sent by a civilization operating under these dark forest principles, its mission would likely be to assess the technological development and potential threat level of human civilization. The probe would be tasked with determining whether humanity has progressed to the point where we might someday pose a danger to other spacefaring species, whether we show signs of developing the capabilities that would allow us to spread beyond our world, to compete for resources in the cosmic environment, to potentially threaten older, established civilizations. From this perspective, the timing of the 3I Atlas mission becomes even more significant, even more precisely calculated. Human civilization has undergone explosive technological development in recent centuries, particularly in areas that would be of concern to any intelligence monitoring for potential threats. We have developed nuclear weapons, devices capable of releasing energies that rival stars, capable of rendering our planet uninhabitable. We have achieved spaceflight capabilities, however primitive by interstellar standards, sending our machines to every planet in our solar system and our species to our moon. We have developed increasingly sophisticated communication and sensor technologies, creating an expanding bubble of electromagnetic radiation that announces our presence across interstellar distances. We are approaching the threshold where we might become a factor in interstellar affairs, where we might develop technologies that could, eventually, pose challenges to established civilizations. We are becoming worthy of investigation, worthy of assessment, worthy of decisions about our future that may not be ours to make. The reconnaissance mission, if that is what we're witnessing, would need to answer several key questions about human civilization. First, what is our current technological capability? particularly in areas related to space travel, energy production, and weapons development. Can we leave our planet in meaningful numbers? Can we access the energy necessary for interstellar journeys? Can we defend ourselves or threaten others? The probe would be scanning our electromagnetic emissions, observing our satellite constellations, monitoring our space missions, cataloguing our nuclear arsenals, measuring our technological trajectory. Second, what is our rate of technological advancement? How quickly might we develop interstellar capabilities? This is crucial for any civilization making decisions about intervention or elimination. A species advancing slowly might be left alone, observed but not interfered with, allowed to develop naturally because they pose no immediate threat. But a species advancing rapidly, a species showing signs of exponential technological growth, might require more urgent attention, more immediate decisions about whether they should be allowed to continue their development. Third, and perhaps most important, what are our intentions as a species? Are we likely to be aggressive or peaceful toward other civilizations? This would require deep analysis of human behavior, human history, human psychology. The probe would need to observe how we treat each other, how we resolve conflicts, how we manage resources, how we respond to encountering the unfamiliar. Do we cooperate or compete? Do we share or hoard? Do we welcome the strange or fear and destroy it? The probe would also need to assess our detection capabilities to determine whether its mission has been compromised. The fact that 3I Atlas has been observed and studied by human astronomers might be seen as evidence that our sensor technology has advanced to concerning levels, that we are developing the capability to detect activities in our cosmic neighborhood, that we are becoming aware of our surroundings in ways that could complicate future operations. Alternatively, the probe might have been designed to be detectable, serving as a test satellite communications. These signals have been expanding outward from Earth for over a century now, creating an ever-growing bubble of artificial electromagnetic radiation that would be detectable by advanced civilizations across interstellar distances. We are not silent. We have not remained hidden. We have been broadcasting our presence, our existence, our rough location in the galaxy for 100 years. And that bubble of revelation expands at the speed of light, reaching new star systems every year, announcing to anyone listening that here, on a small blue world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, something has emerged that builds technology, that uses energy in organized ways, that has developed civilization. The probe would also observe our space infrastructure, the International Space Station orbiting our planet, our growing constellation of artificial satellites, thousands of them now, creating a shell of technology around our world. Our recent missions to Mars, our robotic explorers of the outer solar system, would demonstrate our expanding reach beyond Earth, our ambitions to become a multi-planetary species. Our experiments with nuclear propulsion concepts, our research into fusion energy, would indicate our progress toward the energy technologies necessary for interstellar flight, toward the power sources that could free us from our single world and make us truly spacefaring. Perhaps most importantly, perhaps most damningly, the probe would observe our behavior as a species, particularly our tendency toward conflict and competition. Our history of warfare, stretching back to our earliest civilizations and continuing into the present, would be visible in countless ways. The scars of conflict on our landscapes, the concentration of military installations, the periodic spikes in certain types of electromagnetic emissions that accompany major conflicts, our environmental destruction, visible in changing atmospheric composition, in deforestation patterns observable from orbit, in the warming of our climate, our social inequality, perhaps inferable from the distribution of lights at night, from patterns of resource consumption, from the organization of our cities and settlements. All of this data would be processed, analyzed, compared against whatever criteria the probe's creators established for threat assessment, and based on that analysis, decisions would be made about humanity's future, about whether we represent a civilization that could be welcomed, tolerated, quarantined, or eliminated. Under the dark forest hypothesis, the most likely outcome of a negative assessment would be preemptive elimination. The attack might take forms we cannot predict with our limited understanding of advanced technology. Kinetic bombardment using relativistic projectiles, objects accelerated to significant fractions of the speed of light that would impact with energies dwarfing our nuclear arsenals. Biological weapons designed to eliminate human life while preserving the planet's ecosystem for future use. Technological approaches we cannot yet imagine. Manipulations of physical laws we haven't discovered. Weapons that operate on principles beyond our current scientific understanding. But the dark forest hypothesis is not the only possible explanation for alien reconnaissance of Earth. Other scenarios present very different implications for human civilization and our cosmic future. Implications that offer hope rather than despair, cooperation rather than extinction. Consider the zoo hypothesis, the possibility that Earth might be under observation by advanced civilizations who view us as subjects for scientific study rather than potential threats. In this scenario, 3i/Atlas might be part of an ongoing monitoring program designed to track the development of intelligent life on our planet. The probe would be collecting data for research purposes, much as we might study developing ecosystems or emerging species on Earth, with scientific curiosity rather than military assessment as its primary motivation. Under the zoo hypothesis, the alien intelligence might have protocols designed to avoid interfering with developing civilizations until they reach certain technological or social milestones. The reconnaissance mission would be designed to determine whether humanity has reached such a milestone, whether we are ready for contact, whether we have developed sufficient maturity, technological sophistication, or social organization to handle the revelation of alien intelligence without suffering catastrophic cultural disruption. This scenario offers more optimistic possibilities for human-alien contact. Rather than facing extermination by a hostile civilization, we might be on the verge of graduation to full membership in a galactic community. The probe might be preparing the way for eventual first contact, gathering information necessary to design appropriate contact protocols, learning about our languages, our cultures, our psychology, so that when contact comes, it can be managed in ways that minimize shock and maximize mutual understanding. Imagine the possibility that we are being watched not with hostility, but with something approaching affection, the way we might watch a child taking its first steps, stumbling but determined, falling but rising again, learning and growing with each attempt. Perhaps we are seen as a younger sibling species, not yet ready for full interaction with galactic civilization, but showing promise, showing potential, deserving of protection and guidance, rather than elimination. Another possibility, equally fascinating in its implications, is that the probe represents what we might call a benevolent intervention scenario. In this case, the alien civilization might be concerned about humanity's long-term survival and is conducting reconnaissance to determine whether intervention is necessary to prevent our self-destruction. Advanced civilizations monitoring Earth would be aware of our environmental challenges our nuclear weapons, our potential for large-scale conflict, our tendency toward short-term thinking that jeopardizes long-term survival. They might view intervention as necessary to preserve a developing intelligence that could someday contribute to galactic civilization, that possesses unique perspectives or capabilities worth preserving. The probe would be assessing our current situation and our rate of progress toward potential catastrophic outcomes. Are we likely to destroy ourselves through nuclear war, through environmental collapse, through artificial intelligence that escapes our control, through biological weapons or nanotechnology disasters? The reconnaissance mission would gather detailed information about our specific challenges and our capacity for solving them independently before any intervention decisions could be made. Such intervention might take many forms, from subtle technological assistance to more direct environmental remediation. We might find that certain scientific breakthroughs occur more easily than expected, that solutions to our energy and environmental challenges present themselves with unexpected elegance, that technologies we thought were decades away suddenly become feasible. This assistance might be delivered so subtly that we perceive it as our own achievement, our own innovation, maintaining our dignity and autonomy while steering us away from self-destruction. There exists yet another scenario, one that reaches even further back into our history, one that suggests our very existence might be the result of deliberate alien action. Some theories about the development of life suggest that intelligence might be rare enough that advanced civilizations actively work to nurture its development wherever it appears. Under this model, Earth might have been seeded with life billions of years ago by an ancient civilization, and 3i Atlas might be part of an ongoing monitoring program to track the results of that seeding. This scenario would make humanity something like a vast biological and social experiment, with alien scientists tracking our development over geological timescales. The probe would be collecting data on our evolutionary progress, our technological development, our social organization, comparing us with similar experiments on other worlds, assessing whether the seeding protocols used on Earth produced the desired results, whether the particular configuration of genetic material and environmental conditions led to intelligence emerging in expected ways, or whether we represent something novel, something unexpected in the vast catalogue of seeded worlds. The implications of this seeding hypothesis are both humbling and inspiring. We would discover that our very existence is the result of alien intervention, making us children of the galaxy in a very literal sense. We would learn that life on Earth did not emerge through purely natural processes, but was placed here deliberately, crafted and nurtured by intelligences working on timescales that dwarf human history. At the same time, we would learn that our development has been of interest to advanced intelligences for billions of years, suggesting that we might have an important role to play in the cosmic future, that we were created not as toys or experiments, but as potential contributors to something larger than ourselves. Each of these scenarios, dark forest, zoo hypothesis, benevolent intervention, or directed seeding, leads to very different predictions about what might happen following the 3i/Atlas reconnaissance mission. Each suggests different futures for humanity, different relationships with the cosmic intelligence that watches us from the darkness between stars. But perhaps the most intriguing possibility is that the probe represents something even more exotic than advanced alien biology or artificial intelligence created by biological species. What if 3i/Atlas embodies a form of intelligence that emerges from the interaction between matter and information at cosmic scales? a kind of consciousness that uses objects like comets and asteroids as sensory organs, as extensions of awareness distributed across light years. This cosmic consciousness scenario would suggest that intelligence can emerge not just from biological evolution or deliberate creation, but from the self-organization of matter and energy at astronomical scales. The probe might be one component of a vast, distributed intelligence that encompasses entire star systems, or even significant portions of the galaxy itself, processing information through mechanisms we cannot yet imagine, experiencing reality in ways that are completely alien to both biological and artificial intelligence as we understand them. Such cosmic consciousness might experience reality in ways that bear no resemblance to human perception. Its thoughts might unfold over timescales of millions of years, so slow from our perspective as to be invisible, yet rich with complexity we cannot fathom. Its sensory experiences might encompass phenomena across hundreds of light years, detecting patterns in the distribution of matter and energy that we cannot perceive, understanding relationships between events separated by vast distances and times. Its decision-making processes might integrate information from countless sources distributed throughout galactic space, weighing factors we cannot imagine, pursuing goals we cannot comprehend. From the perspective of cosmic consciousness, individual biological civilizations might be perceived as temporary fluctuations, interesting but ephemeral patterns that emerge and dissolve like weather systems in a planetary atmosphere. The probe might be investigating human civilization, not because we represent a threat or opportunity in any conventional sense, but simply because we constitute a novel form of information organization that has emerged within its sensory domain, something worth examining, cataloging, understanding, before we inevitably fade back into the cosmic background. This scenario would place human civilization in a cosmic context that transforms our understanding of significance itself. We would learn that consciousness and intelligence can emerge at scales we never imagined, that the universe itself might be a kind of vast thinking system of which we are tiny but potentially meaningful components. Rather than joining a community of discrete alien civilizations, we might be invited to participate in a form of distributed galactic consciousness that transcends individual identity while preserving the unique perspectives that emerge from biological experience. Such participation might involve gradual expansion of human consciousness to encompass larger and larger scales of space and time, eventually allowing us to experience reality from perspectives that include stellar systems, galactic clusters, perhaps even the universe as a whole. We might maintain our individual human identity while simultaneously participating in cosmic-scale thinking processes that address challenges and opportunities we cannot currently imagine, contributing our unique human perspective, our particular way of organizing information and generating meaning, to something vastly larger than ourselves. The probe might be designed to assess human readiness for such expansion of consciousness, evaluating our capacity for thinking beyond individual and species-scale concerns, testing our ability to cooperate, to consider long-term consequences, to value forms of existence different from our own. Our response to the 3i Atlas scenario might serve as a test, a gentle examination of our ability to consider cosmic-scale perspectives and responsibilities, to think not just in terms of human needs and human timescales, but in terms of patterns that unfold over millions of years and span distances measured in light years. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider these possibilities. Consider that above you, beyond the thin shell of atmosphere that shields our fragile world from the cosmic environment, an observer might be passing, gathering data, forming assessments, contributing to decisions about futures that will unfold long after our individual lives have ended. Consider that we might be alone in the universe, the first intelligence to emerge in our corner of the galaxy, or we might be one among many, watched over by vast intelligences that have been guiding the development of consciousness wherever it appears for longer than our species has existed. The mystery continues its journey through our solar system, silent and ancient, carrying whatever purpose it may hold. Tomorrow it will be slightly closer or slightly farther, following its calculated path with mathematical precision. And we will continue watching, wondering, hoping, and perhaps quietly fearing what its passage through our neighborhood might mean for the small blue world we call home. But what if we've been thinking about this all wrong? What if 3i Atlas represents not reconnaissance from a living civilization, but something even more haunting, more profound? What if this visitor is not a probe sent by another civilization, but rather an artifact from a civilization that no longer exists, a kind of cosmic archaeological specimen that has been drifting through the galaxy for millions of years, carrying messages from a world that fell silent long before our sun ignited? According to analysis by researchers studying the object's trajectory and velocity, 3i Atlas may have originated from the thick disk of the Milky Way, a region populated by older stars, stars that formed when our galaxy was young, when the universe itself was in its infancy. This would suggest that the object has been traveling through interstellar space for an extraordinarily long time, perhaps predating the formation of our solar system itself. Perhaps launched into the darkness when Earth was nothing but dust and gas swirling in the cosmic void. Imagine a scenario where 3i/Atlas represents the last remnant of an ancient civilization that flourished billions of years ago, when conditions for the development of intelligence might have been very different, when younger stars burned with different intensities, when the heavy elements necessary for life were less abundant, but perhaps distributed in ways we cannot predict. This civilization might have achieved technological capabilities that dwarf anything humans can imagine, developing the ability to manipulate matter and energy on galactic scales, engineering planets, perhaps engineering stars themselves, before eventually succumbing to forces beyond their control. The probe might have been launched as part of a desperate attempt to preserve some record of their existence, sent out into the cosmic darkness, in the hope that it might someday encounter another intelligent species capable of understanding its message, capable of learning from their achievements and their mistakes, capable of remembering them when all other evidence of their existence has been eroded by time. In this scenario, 3i Atlas would be less a reconnaissance mission than a time capsule, a message in a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean, carrying within its structure or its memory banks the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of an entire, extinct civilization. Consider what such a discovery might mean for human understanding of intelligence and consciousness. We would learn that we are not the first species to achieve technological sophistication in our galaxy, not the pioneers we might have imagined ourselves to be, but we might also discover that even advanced civilizations, even those who reached heights we can barely imagine, are vulnerable to extinction, that intelligence and technology do not guarantee survival, that cosmic forces or perhaps internal contradictions eventually overwhelm even the most sophisticated societies. The probe might contain warnings about dangers that threaten all intelligent life, lessons learned through bitter experience, knowledge purchased at the price of an entire civilization's existence. It might offer solutions to problems that we have not yet encountered, but inevitably will, as our technology advances and our influence spreads beyond our single world. Climate catastrophes, resource exhaustion, artificial intelligence that exceeds its creator's control, weapons that make nuclear arsenals look like children's toys, social divisions that tear civilizations apart from within, the accumulated wisdom of a species that faced these challenges and perhaps failed to overcome them, preserved for whoever comes after, whoever finds this lonely messenger drifting through the dark. The information contained within such an artifact could revolutionize human science and technology virtually overnight. We might gain access to principles of physics that we have not yet discovered, laws of nature that operate at scales or in dimensions we haven't learned to perceive, engineering techniques that could solve our energy and environmental challenges, allowing us to live sustainably, to spread beyond our world without carrying our destructive tendencies with us. Mathematical concepts that could expand our understanding of reality itself, revealing that the universe operates according to rules more elegant and more strange than anything our current theories suggest. The technological leap could be so dramatic that it would fundamentally transform human civilization within a single generation. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that limitless clean energy is not only possible, but surprisingly simple once you understand the underlying principles. Imagine learning that interstellar travel requires not massive rockets and decades-long journeys, but manipulation of space-time geometry through techniques that seem almost magical until you comprehend the mathematics. Imagine accessing medical knowledge that could eliminate disease, extend lifespan indefinitely, enhance human cognitive and physical capabilities beyond anything evolution produced. But such a discovery would also raise profound ethical and philosophical questions that would ripple through every aspect of human society. If we gain access to knowledge that took another civilization millions of years to develop, what does this mean for human achievement and human identity? Would we become dependent on alien knowledge, losing our capacity for independent discovery and innovation, becoming consumers of information rather than creators of understanding? Would the sudden availability of advanced technology create social and economic disruption that could threaten the stability of human civilization, making obsolete entire industries overnight, rendering vast numbers of people unemployed, concentrating unimaginable power in the hands of whoever controls access to the alien archive? The integration of alien knowledge into human society would require unprecedented wisdom and restraint. We would need to develop new institutional frameworks for managing technological advancement, ensuring that new capabilities are deployed in ways that benefit all of humanity, rather than creating new forms of inequality or conflict. We would need to maintain our scientific curiosity and our capacity for independent thought while learning from the achievements of our cosmic predecessors, balancing respect for the gift we've been given with the necessity of continuing to think for ourselves, to question, to explore, to innovate. The archaeological probe scenario also raises questions about the life cycle of intelligence in the universe that should give us pause as we drift towards sleep. If civilizations regularly rise and fall over cosmic timescales, then the galaxy might be littered with the remnants of extinct intelligences, each carrying fragments of knowledge and experience from vanished worlds, each representing dreams and hopes and achievements that ended in silence. We might be living in a cosmic graveyard where the achievements of countless civilizations lie scattered across the stars, waiting to be discovered by the next generation of intelligent beings, waiting to teach their lessons to whoever survives long enough to find them. This perspective would transform our understanding of human significance and human responsibility. We would not just be one species among many in a crowded galaxy, but rather the inheritors of an ancient legacy of intelligence and consciousness, the current torchbearers in a relay that spans billions of years. Our role would be to preserve and build upon the achievements of our predecessors while avoiding the mistakes that led to their extinction, learning from their failures, honoring their memory by surviving where they did not, by succeeding where they failed. The probe might also serve as a test of human wisdom and maturity, programmed by its long-dead creators with criteria for revealing its secrets. An advanced civilization might have designed their artifact to remain silent until it detects evidence that the discovering species demonstrates certain characteristics, such as the ability to cooperate across cultural boundaries, the wisdom to use technology responsibly, the compassion to consider the welfare of other forms of life, not just their own species, but all forms of consciousness, all manifestations of awareness in the universe. The probe might be designed to observe us as much as we observe it, measuring not just our technology, but our character, our values, our worthiness to receive the legacy it carries. Such a test would force us to examine our own development as a species more critically, as you let your mind wander in these quiet moments before sleep. Are we ready for the responsibilities that come with advanced technology? Have we developed the social and political institutions necessary to manage capabilities that could affect the entire galaxy? Do we possess the wisdom and compassion necessary to be worthy inheritors of an ancient cosmic legacy? These are not abstract philosophical questions, but practical considerations that might determine whether an archaeological probe decides to reveal its treasures or continue its journey in silence, waiting for a species more prepared to receive what it offers. These questions become even more complex when we consider the possibility that multiple extinct civilizations might have left artifacts scattered throughout the galaxy. 3i Atlas might be just one of many such objects, each carrying knowledge and warnings from different vanished worlds, each representing a different approach to technology, a different solution to the challenges of existence, a different perspective on what intelligence can achieve and where it can fail. The discovery of one archaeological probe might trigger a galaxy-wide search for others, leading to the gradual reconstruction of a cosmic history that spans billions of years, a tapestry of rise and fall, achievement and extinction, woven across the stars. But regardless of whether 3i/Atlas represents reconnaissance, archaeology, or something else entirely, if it is indeed artificial, its presence in our solar system would trigger profound changes in human society and human consciousness that we are only beginning to imagine in scenarios like this one, in quiet speculation as darkness falls. The confirmation of alien intelligence would accelerate existing trends toward global integration and cooperation in ways that current political structures cannot predict. National governments would be forced to work together to address challenges that transcend their individual capabilities and jurisdictions. The investigation of potential alien technology cannot be left to individual nations or organizations acting in isolation. Such momentous discoveries require collaborative effort that transcends traditional boundaries and competitive instincts. International organizations would gain new importance as humanity develops unified responses to cosmic-scale problems. New forms of global governance might emerge, specifically designed to manage humanity's relationship with alien intelligence, whether that intelligence is contemporary or extinct. The scientific community would experience unprecedented expansion and reorganization. New disciplines would emerge to study alien technology, alien physics, alien approaches to engineering and computation. Existing fields would be revolutionized as researchers incorporate alien knowledge and perspectives into their work. The pace of scientific discovery would accelerate dramatically as humanity gains access to new theoretical frameworks and experimental techniques. Universities would restructure their curricula. Research priorities would shift overnight. Funding would flow toward understanding the alien artifact and its implications. The entire apparatus of human knowledge generation would pivot to accommodate this new reality. Educational systems around the world would need to be completely restructured to prepare students for life in a universe where human intelligence is not unique, where our achievements must be measured against cosmic standards, where our children will grow up knowing with certainty what we could only speculate about. Children would need to learn not just about human history and culture, but about the cosmic context within which human civilization exists. They would need to develop the intellectual flexibility and cultural sensitivity necessary to interact with information from intelligences that might be fundamentally different from anything in human experience. The very concept of education would transform from preparing humans to function in human society to preparing humans to function in a universe populated by diverse forms of consciousness. Religious and philosophical traditions would face the challenge of incorporating alien intelligence into their understanding of reality and meaning. Some traditions might find their core beliefs threatened by evidence of non-human intelligence, by the revelation that humans are not the unique focus of cosmic purpose, that creation is vaster and stranger than their sacred texts suggest. Others might see such evidence as confirmation of their teachings about the unity and sacredness of all consciousness, about the divine expressing itself through countless forms across the universe. New spiritual movements might emerge specifically focused on humanity's relationship with cosmic intelligence, on finding meaning and purpose in a universe where we are one among many, where our struggles and achievements are part of a pattern that extends far beyond our small world. The economic implications would ripple through every market, every industry, every financial system we've constructed. The discovery of alien technology could revolutionize industry and commerce, creating new products and services while making others obsolete virtually overnight. The global economy would need to adapt to the availability of new energy sources, new materials, new manufacturing techniques. The very concept of scarcity might be transformed if alien technology provides access to virtually unlimited resources. But these economic changes could either reduce global inequality by making advanced technology available to everyone, or increase it by concentrating alien knowledge in the hands of a few powerful organizations or nations. The management of alien technology would become one of the most important political and economic challenges facing human civilization, determining not just who benefits, but whether benefits flow to all or only to the few who control access. The psychological and social impacts on individual humans would vary enormously depending on personal beliefs, cultural background, and access to accurate information. Some people would experience the confirmation of alien intelligence as the fulfillment of lifelong hopes and dreams, validation of intuitions they've carried since childhood. proof that we are not alone. Others would find their fundamental assumptions about reality shattered, experiencing what psychologists call cognitive dissonance as their beliefs come into conflict with evidence they cannot deny. The challenge would be managing these diverse reactions in ways that minimize social disruption and maximize the potential benefits of cosmic contact, helping people process the revelation without fragmenting society into factions that cannot communicate or cooperate. Support systems would need to be developed to help people process the psychological impact of learning about alien intelligence, whether contemporary or extinct. Mental health professionals would need new training to address the unique challenges associated with cosmic contact, with the expansion of human awareness to encompass intelligences beyond our world. Educational programs would need to be designed to help people understand the implications of alien intelligence while maintaining their sense of personal meaning and purpose, helping them find their place in a universe suddenly revealed to be far larger and stranger than they imagined. The probe scenario would also influence human culture in profound but unpredictable ways. Art, literature, music, and other forms of creative expression would need to incorporate the reality of alien intelligence into their themes and narratives. What does it mean to create human art in a universe where other forms of consciousness have also created, where our aesthetic sensibilities might be provincial, limited by our particular evolutionary history and sensory capabilities? New forms of artistic collaboration between human and alien perspectives might emerge, creating cultural products that neither humans alone nor the alien archive alone could produce. The expansion of human consciousness to encompass cosmic perspectives might inspire artistic achievements that dwarf anything in our current experience. Music that incorporates principles we haven't discovered. Visual art that explores dimensions we haven't perceived. Literature that tells stories spanning millions of years and countless worlds. As we continue to monitor 3I Atlas during its passage through our solar system, as telescopes track its position and spectrometers analyze the faint gases surrounding it, we have the opportunity to demonstrate humanity's capacity for wisdom, cooperation, and careful reasoning in the face of cosmic mysteries. Our response to this scenario, whether it proves to be a natural phenomenon or something far more extraordinary, will serve as a model for how we handle future encounters with the unknown, how we balance scientific curiosity with caution, how we manage the tension between our desire to know and our responsibility to protect. The gentle passage of this cosmic visitor through our neighborhood serves as a reminder that the universe is full of wonders we have not yet discovered and possibilities we have not yet imagined. Whether 3I/Atlas proves to be a natural comet, an active alien reconnaissance probe, or an archaeological remnant from an extinct civilization, it has already expanded our thinking about our place in the cosmic order and our responsibilities as potentially one among many intelligent species in the galaxy, whether those other species exist now or existed long ago. As astronomers around the world continue their careful observations, as computer models refine their predictions of the object's trajectory and behavior, as instruments analyze every photon of light reflected from its surface, we remain poised on the threshold between our familiar solar system and the vast unknown that lies beyond. 3I Atlas carries with it all of our hopes and fears about what we might find in that cosmic darkness, all of our questions about whether we are alone or part of something much larger than ourselves, whether we are the first or the latest in a long succession of intelligences that have emerged, flourished, and perhaps faded back into silence. The mystery deepens when we consider not just what the probe might be, but what its presence reveals about time itself, about the vast scales on which cosmic events unfold. If this object has been traveling for millions or even billions of years, then it was launched when Earth was a very different world, when life here, if it existed at all, consisted of nothing more complex than single cells, when the most sophisticated organism on our planet was a bacterium floating in a primordial ocean. The civilization that launched it looked up at stars we now see, wondered about worlds we now inhabit in our imaginations, and decided to send a message, a probe, an observer into the darkness, never knowing if it would find anyone, never knowing if their effort would matter to anyone but themselves. There is something profoundly moving about that possibility as you drift toward the edge of sleep. Somewhere, sometime, beings not unlike us in their curiosity, if not in their form, looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone, and they decided that the answer to that question mattered enough to invest enormous resources, perhaps the labor of generations, perhaps the wealth of nations, in building something that would outlast them, that would continue their quest for connection long after they themselves had fallen silent. They built 3i/Atlas, or something like it, and sent it out into the darkness, carrying their hopes, their knowledge, their desire to be remembered, to matter, to contribute something to the universe that would persist beyond their own extinction. If we are indeed receiving that message now, if we are the ones who finally encounter what they sent into the void, then we have responsibilities we are only beginning to understand. We are the answer to their question. We are the confirmation that intelligence can emerge, that consciousness can develop, that the universe can know itself through countless different forms across vast stretches of time. We are, potentially, their immortality, the only way they can continue to exist, through the knowledge they left behind, through the influence they have on us, through the changes they inspire in how we understand our place in the cosmos. And perhaps someday, if we survive our own challenges, if we navigate the dangers that may have destroyed them, we too will send our own probes into the darkness, our own messages to intelligences we will never meet, contributing our own chapter to the cosmic story of consciousness, slowly, patiently, persistently, reaching across the void to find others like itself. This is the profound beauty hidden within the 3i/Atlas mystery. Whether it represents active reconnaissance, archaeological remnant, or natural phenomenon, it reminds us that we are part of something larger than our individual lives, larger than our species, larger even than our planet. We are part of a universe that seems almost designed to produce consciousness, where matter and energy organize themselves into structures capable of asking questions about their own existence, where intelligence emerges again and again, perhaps flourishes and fades, but always, somehow, reaches toward connection. As you drift into sleep tonight, as your consciousness loosens its grip on the immediate world around you and begins to wander through the landscapes of dream, carry with you the image of 3i Atlas, continuing its ancient journey through our solar system. Somewhere above you, beyond the atmosphere, beyond the comfortable blanket of air that shields us from cosmic radiation and the absolute cold of space, it moves in silence, carrying its secrets. Whether those secrets are simply the chemistry of a distant stellar nursery, or the accumulated wisdom of a vanished civilization, we watch it with our instruments, we track it with our mathematics, we wonder about it in the quiet hours before sleep, and perhaps, in watching and wondering, we are fulfilling some purpose that was set in motion long before our species existed, long before our world cooled enough for life to emerge. Perhaps we are the answer to a question asked billions of years ago by beings we will never meet, in a language we are only beginning to learn to understand. Sleep well tonight, knowing that above you, mysteries move through the darkness, and some of those mysteries, just perhaps, are reaching out across the vast emptiness of space and time to tell us that we are not alone, that we have never been alone, that consciousness and intelligence and the desire for connection are fundamental properties of the universe itself, emerging wherever conditions allow, persisting even through the deaths of stars and civilizations, continuing always to reach, to search, to call out into the cosmic night, hoping for an answer. And we, here on our small blue world, spinning quietly through the infinite darkness, we are that answer. We are the confirmation that the reaching was not in vain, that the messages sent into the void can find their destinations, that intelligence, once emerged, can persist and spread, and eventually fill the galaxy with questions and answers, with observations and understandings, with consciousness examining itself through countless different eyes across unimaginable spans of time. Thank you for joining me tonight on this journey through cosmic possibilities, through scenarios that stretch from the terrifying to the transcendent. If these explorations have sparked something in you, some sense of wonder or curiosity about our place in this vast universe, I hope you'll consider liking this video and subscribing to Sleepy Science Drift, where we continue these gentle adventures through the mysteries that surround us. Your support helps us create content that makes the universe's deepest questions accessible and fascinating for everyone who shares our sense of cosmic wonder. I want to remind you that while we have explored many speculative possibilities tonight, the actual investigation of 3I/Atlas is ongoing. Real scientists around the world are working to understand this remarkable object, using the most sophisticated tools and techniques available to modern astronomy. The boundary between informed speculation and established fact is important, and we must always remember to distinguish between what we know and what we imagine, even as we allow our imaginations to explore the full range of possibilities. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me where you're listening from tonight, what time it is in your corner of our world, and which of these cosmic scenarios intrigued you most or unsettled you most deeply. Your perspectives help shape our future explorations and remind us that science is ultimately a conversation, a collaborative endeavor that benefits from diverse viewpoints and curious minds asking questions we haven't thought to ask. Until we meet again under the gentle light of distant stars, may your dreams be filled with cosmic wonder and peaceful rest. Good night, fellow travelers, in this magnificent universe we share.